Web3 and New Creator Economy.
Okay, everyone, welcome. Welcome to this great panel. We're going to be talking about Web3 and the creator economy. My name's Jane Thomason. You've already heard from me, so I'm just going to be helping navigate a wonderful conversation with these two fantastic guests. So Jared, let's start with you. Please introduce yourself, tell everyone what you're doing, and then we'll get right into it.
Thank you, Jane. Hi everyone. How's everyone doing today? Such a great event, isn't it?
It's a fantastic event.
Such a great event.
Gail, where are you? We need some cheering. Yes, thank you. Woo!
Yeah.
Let's get all of the people in the room over here listening to this fantastic panel.
Yes, absolutely. So, my name is Jared Dillinger. I'm a pro athlete out here in the Philippines. I play for the most popular team. If you don't know, we're called Barangay Ginebra. Essentially, we're like the Los Angeles Lakers back in the States, if you can make a comparison. Pivoting from basketball, I'm also into crypto, blockchain, AI. I make content for centralized exchanges. I make general content for my basketball podcast and also for my CNN show that's airing on TV and digital called 𝐒𝐿 with some of my co-hosts standing in the back. So we'll be airing here in about a month and a half from now. And my life is chaotic and everything is just a big organized mess of chaos, and I love it.
And we're going to hear all about that in the course of this panel. So Dr. Donald Lim,
Hello,
come on,
hi.
big hand for Dr. Donald
Hello,
Lim.
good afternoon,
He's going to
everyone.
tell us all about himself. Thank you.
Yeah, so my day job, I'm a COO for a publicly listed company called 𝐒𝐿, It's the third telco in partnership with Chinatel. But after work, I'm the lead convener for the Philippine Blockchain Week. So it's an annual event. We started the Philippine Blockchain Week last year, and this year, 2 months from now, we will be holding the second one. I'm also the founding president of the Blockchain Council of the Philippines. I'm not a pro athlete, but I have a lot of experience with the creator economy. I used to be Chief Digital Officer of ABS-CBN. So that time we handled thousands of YouTubers, those who are lording it over Instagram, and of course now they're on TikTok. So it's really helping them migrate also from Web 2 to the opportunities of Web 3.
Thank you. So really you're Mr. Blockchain Philippines.
Well, not really. I don't have the toned abs of Jared, so...
Yeah, well listen, I'm not an athlete either, but I did just write a book on Web3 and I'm going to be quizzing you on it in the course of this panel. No, I'm not.
Fantastic.
But come on in the audience, do you really understand the difference between Web 2 and Web 3? Hands up if you absolutely know the difference between Web 2 and Web 3. We got two hands. Hands up if you have no idea what we're talking about. Okay, great. There's one honest person in the audience. So why don't we go there, and let me just start with just giving you a couple of definitions, and we're going to collect definitions as we go. So Web 2, which is what we're all used to, people talk about as the Internet of Information. What Web 2 allows us to do is to exchange information with people over the Internet. What Web 3 is being called is the Internet of Value, because it allows us directly in a peer-to-peer way to exchange value. So when you're hearing about tokens and NFTs and different ways that creators are going to be rewarded, it's because they can be rewarded directly by the value that's enabled by token economies in Web 3. And so this is going to change the way creators interact. It's going to change the way creators interact with their fans and their audiences. It's going to change the way they're going to be rewarded. So let's just start and ask each of my fabulous panelists for a little bit of their take on Web 3 and why it's important to content creators.
Great, that's a great question to start off. I think as a content creator myself, I think as I'm making content, the biggest thing that I can tell from Web3 is having ownership and digitally verifying that that is indeed yours. Because we're talking about AI these days, and AI, as great as it is a little bit scary because you can have fake voices, you can have fake avatars. And I think when you mix that in with content creating, you're not going to know who's real, who's fake. And I think when you can mix in this whole crypto component where you can verify that that is the authentic person making their content, that's going to solve a lot of those issues that we're going to be having during this AI explosion.
Yeah, thank you. And just how does basketball come into this?
Basketball comes into with just like with anything, it's sports are community driven, obviously. When we hear in crypto or NFTs, those are all community driven type of components or platforms. So when you want to mix basketball with crypto and we want to have content creators or players like myself that's building up my personal brand, I think that for one, verifying that I am who I am digitally, physically and digitally is really important. And building a community, not only at these sports arenas, but digitally, building a community, sharing information of my NFTs to give access of my inner workings of my training schedule or what I eat. I think that's going to be something that people are already noticing that we're doing in the sports realm right now.
No, thanks so much. So let's go to Donald, just with whatever your definition is of Web3 and why it matters for content creators.
I really like what you said when you said Web 2 is all about the age of information. And before, if you look at all the entertainers, whether artists or even or people, pro athletes, it's always a bit of one way. In a sense that at most you can maybe chat with them or comment on any of their posts, but that's it. But we do realize that in my experience, especially when we were handling a lot of celebrities, there's such a thing as fandom, right? That you are real fans, you are raving fans of particular people and personalities, and that is, I think, the essence of Web3, what you aptly said of value, because now it's not only a manifestation of I like your page, I'm interacting with you, but right now any celebrity, any influencer can create their own stronger community by, for example, launching their own NFTs, or even pushing the envelope, being part of the metaverse, having a metaverse concert, for example. But I think the lowest hanging fruit here, because we're a bit NFT country here, I think there's an opportunity for any influencer, any creator, to provide extra value, not just creating content and the audience consuming what has been created, but also something that allows them to be more engaged. For example, Jared here, if he launches his NFT, he can have a closer connection with his millions of fans who followed him, not only on the court, but they can have special meetups, right? He can create his own items and give them to the fans, among many others.
Maybe he can make his own team with his fans,
Yep,
and they
why
can come
not?
and play a game with him. That would be fun.
Yep.
But Donald, let's just go back to you again. So one of the things that I learned is that you're helping Web 2 companies move into Web 3. So tell us a little bit about how you're doing that and why you think it's important.
There is a natural progression of the internet. So we went from websites to social media. Before, I remember there was a time, so I'm dating myself, but there was a time we tried to convince people, companies, to have a website, right? And that was very Web 1. And then later on, we tried to convince a lot of brands and companies to have a social media page. In 2010, 2011, 2012, no brand, banks, they say, cannot have social media. People might bash us. It's very high risk. And yet today, it's now stable. Every brand, every consumer brand, any B2B brand has to have social media presence. And now we're going into Web3. So it's a natural progression. So it's just a matter of time before they understand what blockchain is, how to maximize NFTs, how to, in the end, before we have Gcash, Paymaya, we didn't care about them until the pandemic came. And now everyone would have that. So it's just a matter of time before I would assume, brands, restaurants, before, right, you only have cash or credit card. And now, maybe now, a bit of debit card, and now you have to accept Gcash and Paymaya. But later on, we see an economy where, okay, Bitcoin is accepted. Cryptocurrency is accepted, right? And I think that's the natural progression. We will get there. right? So we have to work with companies to help them move towards that space.
If I may, Jane, to piggyback off of Donald, I think that me and Donald, we work with each other, and what we're doing when we try to help Web 2 companies go into Web 3, I think the lowest hanging fruit is obviously about education and information. You get KOLs, you get influencers like myself and like Jerry and like Eric Eruption over there, and we talk and explain about crypto, about Web3, because we all understand, people that have been here for 3, 4, 5, 6 years, there is a very steep learning curve onboarding into Web3, if you will. And now, I know it's getting better through the years, but I think it's important to have people that have a voice and a presence to break it down easily for someone to understand that has general knowledge of the space in itself.
So let me ask you another question, because what I'm hearing, from this conversation is, especially in the Philippines, it's about fandom and NFTs. And when you were talking earlier, you were saying that you can prove that you're you and you made that content. But if I'm a content creator, I still haven't figured out how I get rewarded for my content. So they know who I am. I definitely did that post, or I definitely did that TikTok dance. But how do I get rewarded? Like, what is it about Web3 that can make it good for me?
Okay, so there's a handful of ways how you can be rewarded. And this is through Web3, correct, Jane? Okay. So as a content creator, I would look at it at a couple angles. If I'm making content about a certain crypto company, obviously product placement of that certain crypto company would be one way of a reward. If you want to get real technical about it, in terms of videos that you're going to be making about crypto companies, maybe about tokens, about gaming, now we're talking about your retention rate, your cost per click, how many people come to your video and actually convert onto this product or company or game that you're giving information or education about. So outside of either viewership, retention, engagement, product placement, there are many ways that you can earn through promoting or talking about, whether that's informational or educational, talk about crypto gaming products in general.
And whoever thought that there was going to be a job called an influencer, even a decade ago? It didn't exist, and yet people are really making a lot of money out of this and building, in fact, a bigger following than many of our politicians have. So, Donald, let's come back to you with how the content creators can be rewarded in Web3.
I'm a businessman. So every creator I see potential in earning from it. Like for example, I was looking at 𝐒𝐿 Eruption. If he does his workout videos, that's fine. You can do a bit of revenue sharing on advertising and that's it. But what if he were to launch an NFT, right? And he will be able to sell it in exchange for, you can work out with me once a month. Or we can have coffee together and I will give you tips. Among many other utilities, then there is now a value. Beyond just creating content and showing off what I can do, right? So I'm a fan of Jared, right? So I've been a Ginebra fan for like 30
We're
years,
all fans
right?
of Jared.
So, a picture with him is nice, but if he sells his NFT, I am a fan. I would buy his NFT. But of course, he also has to commit to a certain number of what we call utility. For example, if I get to play basketball with him every month, right? If he practices, I practice with him. That's of value to me. I wouldn't mind spending a lot for that because it's not open to everyone. And it is reserved for the fan of fans. So you can release maybe 300 of them and you sell it to the market. So now before, every creator, when you talk about, you have a YouTube channel, you have a TikTok, okay, fine, AdSense, you earn by advertising, you get views and YouTube gives you money. But now you can now create your own value by now reaching, having a deeper relationship with your fans. We've seen, for example, songwriters where before they launched their music, they said, I will launch 500 NFTs. You will now become a part owner of this song. And therefore, anytime I earn something, I will also distribute it, the proceeds of that song, to all of you. So it's now you taking control rather than going through, for example, a your management or a recording house because you have to share the proceeds with them. Now the artist, right, the creator is the one in control of their own business because they are their own personal equity and they're going to earn 100% from it.
Okay, I just want to touch. Oh, Gail's back. Hello, welcome, Gail. She's a big supporter. Yeah, she loves all of us. Thank you, Gail. We love a bit of cheering. Feel free to join in, everyone. Thank you. So, would you like to come and exercise with Jared? I think she would. Now, let me come back though to the issue about the NFTs and the shares of royalties, because people talk about NFTs and the fact that content creators can have a sort of continued annuity every time people are buying and selling those. But there's a bit of a risk there that the actual NFT has that programmed into it and that this is what actually happens. So I guess I'm asking you if you see there's some risks and there's some kind of diligence that fans need to be doing to make sure that this all works properly and they do get those kind of rewards?
I think that's fine because if you look at it, I would be more cautious if it's brands or companies. But note that if you're a creator, the only equity you have is yourself. So whatever promise you give to the public, and we all know Web3 is a very rapid space. If you destroy your name there, that's gone. Right? And your NFT, whatever value is, goes down to zero. So I think it also puts the pressure on the creator, right? So some creators, sometimes they release a song and that's it. But right now, every creator, right, when you earn from your fans, right, in exchange for certain benefits to one another, you're also pressured, right, to continuously deliver and create value to them. Right? So I think there's that mutual exclusive promise that you give to one another.
And it's about building trust. But I want to go on to the metaverse so you can have your minds there, because I worry about you, Jared. There's something like 250 million people in this country. I'm not sure if I'm right. And half of them are your fans. You can't do that much exercise sessions. So when I'm going to talk to you about your avatar and exercising and playing with your fans in a minute. But let me just come back to that concept of community, because the concept of community is really important in Web3. Building your community, the bigger, more active community you've got, the more value you're going to build for yourself and what you're doing. I'd like both of you to talk to me a little bit about why community is important and what are some of the strategies for building communities, because people are often saying, well, I want to go from Web 2 to Web 3. What do I need? I always say find a community, but I don't know what you say. So let's go to you, Jared, and then Donald.
Sure. I think there are a lot, I'm a sports guy, obviously. So I take a lot of what I've learned through sports and apply it here. And I think when you're building a community, people are very tribal. For one, when you want to build a community, you want to build a sense of an ecosystem where you're bringing like-minded individuals together, so we can all talk about the things that we love and that we have a passion for, that we can connect with. And I think when you just start from there isn't really much work. It's like you almost put it in autopilot at that point. You just really have to be organized in terms of generating this ecosystem around you, making sure you, the person, the influencer, the person of interest is having, a sense of values, putting themselves at a higher accountability, because they're really all looking at you, right? They're all looking at you for the whatever topic or whatever we're interested in talking about. So just like in sports, there's so many stories that are connected to sports and, winning and losing, and it kind of relates in life almost on the emotions that go through playing and winning in sports. You can take, I think, a component of that and putting that here in the metaverse, where it's about stories. It's about good storytelling. And when you can do that, you get everyone together, it just kind of has like a snowball effect.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point you make about storytelling and connecting at that level with the community. Donald, do you want to add any thoughts about building communities?
And especially in the Philippines, we're very communal, right? So we rally, we have our fiestas, we rally even for our cities, for our saints, and among many others. So you would be surprised, I'm sure, that the community of Jared sometimes would hate all of the other PBA players because they would be playing against each other, right? So it's very rabid also in that space. So once you're able to build that community, before, like what I've said, it's very much one way. Now there's an opportunity to have a deeper relationship. And it has already gone beyond just purely creating content. So some of the Web3 communities are more, let's say, Discord on Telegram. What kind of content can you go there? I mean, what kind of content will you be able to put there beyond just your regular videos? So I think it ups the ante also for the creators. They have to find, and again, before a lot of creators we saw, they just create content because they're committed to it, right? But you lost the authenticity, right? Because they know they're just creating content to earn from it. Now it's becoming very different. It's going back to the authenticity part. That when you post content, it's something that you really do, and not something you're forced to do or you're endorsing another brand. Right? So it's a different play altogether.
Thank you very much. So let's go on a little bit to the metaverse, but just to be really clear, I'm talking about Web3 metaverse. I'm not talking about any kind of immersive experience. But the reason that I wanted to ask you, Jared, is do you think that your community can have a similar kind of relationship with you in a metaverse-like experience, because you're going to run out of bandwidth to be able to engage on a one-on-one basis with your community. So do you see an opportunity where people are going to be able to come and maybe exercise with your avatar? Or as I said, their avatars can come and play basketball with you? What's the opportunities for this whole Web3 content creators metaverse?
So I'm a step ahead of you, Jane. So with
always.
So with my basketball podcast that I have out, we are developing a virtual AR, VR environment for our community to join in as an avatar that they can pick, and they can immerse themselves within our ecosystem of this basketball lobby, into a movie area, a place to congregate with myself and my other PBA friends that are also in this virtual environment. I mean, if you want to get really, really technical, we can even make AI bots of ourselves so that even if we're not there, we can have avatars of ourselves that have our personalities within the AI bots, and they can be in this virtual metaverse, if you will, talking to everyone and congregating and just hanging out. And I think, again, storytelling, sharing stories, sharing passions that we all have in common, I think that's really cool. And I can't go in all these places at the same time, like you were saying. So building a metaverse, building a virtual environment for people to come join in and hang out with you, that's definitely something of great interest.
And we all want to come and hang out there as well,
sure.
So let us know how to.
Okay.
So how about you? What are your thoughts about metaverse and the opportunities for content creators?
I think the metaverse, of course, it's still some years off, right? I mean, you've seen bits and pieces of experimentation, but I really feel that the metaverse is going to be the next best bet. But it will take time for the infrastructure, for the internet connection, for all the others, right? For all the other mechanisms, the hardware, the software to really follow. But once it is in place, I think the metaverse will be, that's the future. I think, number one, you're seeing already that the next generation is very comfortable in the metaverse. They're playing games already in the metaverse. At the same time, it allows a lot of flexibility for any content creator. So whether you can launch your new song there, have a concert inside, play games. And what I think is more important is not only on the affinity part, because you're now interacting in avatar to avatar. But at the same time, if you are successful in generating a gamification process, especially in the Philippines, we're a gaming country. If you find and they're able to have certain incentives, tokens, points, or any reward in interacting, I think that would really, really fly. And again, the power goes back to the creator. They can create a real economy behind them, right, using all of these new technology.
Oh, look, what a great conversation and what a fantastic panel. But we're running out to the last minutes of our time. So what I want to do is ask both of you two things. If you were an avatar and you weren't a photorealistic avatar, what would your avatar be? And then the second one is, what are the messages for people who are listening here about Web3 and content creation? They want to get into it. What are you going to tell them to do? What's their action? So first one is, are you going to be Dr. Frog? What's your avatar?
Okay, mine's pretty easy. I'm really into anime, so like an avatar as Demon Slayer or Jujutsu Kaisen, or maybe like Studio Ghibli, like Totoro. I think that would be really cool to be one of those avatars, most definitely. Okay, go ahead, Donald.
Okay, Donald, what's your avatar? And then we'll get your last message.
People identify me with my black jacket, so I'll just be like a black jacket walking around.
Okay, I don't think that's very creative, but I'll go with that. So what's your message for people who want to get into Web3 and content creation? Donald, you can have the...
Well, for me, I think we know that that's the eventual future. So whether you like it or not, we will all meet there and converge there. So that's why it's very heartwarming to see a lot of familiar faces here. But we would really like to invite a bigger community to expand. We've always believed that for our country, the Philippines, in order to be globally competitive, we have to be very digital savvy and take advantage of all of these new technology, new opportunities. So I hope that the entire Philippines will take it on. I think we have the infrastructure, we have the bandwidth, we have the talent, the the young population. By the way, we like to plug. We're doing a Philippine Blockchain Week. I mean, Jared and the whole gang will be there also in September. And we hope that it's, again, another educational conference for everyone to enjoy and learn from one another.
Fantastic. Philippines, the home of Web3, the home of Web3 gaming. Jared, what's your parting words?
My goodness, for people who want to just find out more of everything that we're talking about, just look at your phone, open up social media, go on YouTube University, go on Discord, make mistakes, trial and error, find where everyone's talking about these trends, because we're at the point where you can't hide from it. It's all over the place. So I think just finding the right information is probably more important than anything, but it's all there. It's all there for out to find. So be a sponge, find out what we're talking about, because there is a lot of interest, and really excited. Let's keep pushing the boundaries.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's really good advice, because you can't go to the library and find a book on this. You've got to go and find it on YouTube. You've got to follow people who you trust and who you believe in, like this panel. You could follow all of us. And that's how you're going to learn, network, be part of communities. But remember, some of the key elements that the panel spoke about is the importance of education, so people understand what the new digital economy is, what Web3 is, how you can get into it, the importance of the verification of the artist, of the content creator, the opportunity to connect with communities in new and different ways, but to connect in a very intimate way. I think I'd use that word because you are connecting directly with the community who believes in you, who believes in your brand, and who likes to see more of what you're doing. And so it's all about the community, it's all about relationships, and it's been an absolutely fantastic panel. Such a pleasure for both of you.